All right. Everybody wake up. Let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Huh? So yeah. So what? But I guess the Leafs came back and won that game. Damn it. That's okay. It's good. It keeps us moving forward. If we get in first place again, we're gonna get complacent. I actually like that. Remember, that's how it worked last year. Remember? Um, only who were we chasing? I guess we were chasing Boston last year, right? And it worked out where we just stayed right there, and then right at the end we said, "Okay, we'll take that." Frank says, Florida Gibson 3, Anaheim Ducks nothing. We still can't score. Hey, look, man, if it goes in, it goes in, right? Frank, I completely understand and agree. I mean, there's some guys on some massive slumps. I mean, but let's look at it from a different perspective. Barkov is in a slump. Verhage is in a slump. Kachuk is in a slump. Bennett is in a slump. Bob is in a slump. And we're still treading water. You know what I mean? We're still treading water, second place in the division, with all of those guys just practically offensively non-existent. You look at it that way, I mean, those guys aren't all going to, suck the whole rest of the year, right? All right, Chad is jumping. You got Vlog. Knight needs to be the number one goalie. He might get the next game for sure. I mean, we got it back-to-back, so somebody's getting it. Silva says game number 5,000 of thinking Knight will become the starter. Yep, there you go. Frank says take the 2 points and run. Exactly. Hey, Mike. Yeah, Montreal was up 3-0, Paxton, and I thought they had it in the bag. Yeah, that's the last thing I heard was Montreal was up. I think I went in to do the recap, and Montreal was up 3-0. And Toronto came back. They scored 7 unanswered goals after Kyle made that comment. Excuse me. Hold on. Kyle, come into the room, please, now. The live stream room. All right, I got Kyle coming. Hold on a second. I got Kyle coming. This needs to be dealt with. This needs to be dealt with.
What?
Come here.
What?
Close the door behind you.
What?
Last night, when I went in to do the recap, it was 3-0 Montreal, and you said, looks like Toronto's going to lose and we're going to catch up, right? They scored 7 unanswered goals after you made that comment. 7. Can you even count that high? 7.
I mean, I was busy watching
the football game. Exactly, Metal. It's all Kyle's fault. In fact, think about it. Not only did you cause those 7 goals to be scored, but what did you go and immediately do? Watch the Lions, right? What happened to them? Exactly. All right, get out of here. You're banned.
I love you too.
I love you too. 7 unanswered goals. My God. How many games do we have to look at for the Panthers that we actually scored 7 goals at all? Like, how many games do we have to look back? Hold on a second. You understand what I'm saying? Let's see. We scored 3, and then we scored 2, so that's 5. Then we scored 6. If you count the shootout goal as the 7th goal, no. So you have to include going back to the Flyers. What I'm saying, Mike, is you have to go back to the Flyers game And if you add up the goals the Panthers have scored in regulation, then we've scored more than 7 goals. It took us 4 games to score. No, I'm not talking about 7 in one game. I'm talking about recently, saying how many games back do we need to go to add up to 7. And you have to go back to adding up the goals from the Flyers game and the Devils game and the Wings game and last night's game just to equal 7 goals that the Panthers have scored. It's Montreal. Oh my God, that's funny. McMahon, Robertson, Nylander, OEL, Matthews, Lorentz, and Camp. God. Montreal can't even spell consistency. Oh man, who was in net? What did I see somebody say it was on Monty? Oh yeah, that's what I was at. I says poor Sam Montembeau. God almighty. When was it 3-0? At what point in the game? At what point in the game was it 3-0? I don't need that heater on anymore. At what point in the game, Mike? I know. Mike, Sam Montembeau has been able to continue to have an NHL career with the numbers that he's had over his career. Let's. I mean, I don't know how he has been able. I mean, he's 28, and I mean his career is 298 with an 897. His career is 298 with an 897. And he's just gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons with Montreal now. And his best numbers, actually, these are his best numbers. Right now, he's at, no, that's his career. No, right now he's at, I misspoke. Right now he's at 298 and 897. And that's his lowest goals against average ever. Poor kid. Yeah, Metal says if we score 7 goals, Maurice might have a stroke. So it was at the end of the first period. Jeez. Frank says Knight is going to start on Tuesday and lose because he had a shutout. I'll start against the Ducks and start Knight against the Kings. So you mean, okay, I see what you're saying. I guess it just depends on because I saw Stevens asking what happened to Bobby. I guess it just depends on what the reason was for giving Spencer Knight the extra game, because Maurice kind of didn't want to blame the Detroit game on Bob. So I don't know if it was just a situation where he just wanted Bob to get a little bit of extra rest, reward Spencer for his good play, or are we going to see a situation where, is he gonna give Spencer Knight the bulk of the starts for a little while and let Bobrovsky rest? The fact that we have an immediate back-to-back, the fact that we have immediate back-to-back, we're not really going to know. But I'll put it this way. If Spencer has another good game and Bob has another bad game, I don't think Maurice will play around. I think you'll see Spencer start getting some starts. But that said, I have sat in this chair plenty of times in years past and opined on the morning reviews about how, yeah, that's it. I think Bob's done and Spencer's got the net. So you won't catch me. You won't catch me saying that here until and unless Maurice says exactly that, which I don't think is going to happen. Now, I will say that I didn't understand why we wouldn't have gone into this season wanting a 41-41-ish split. There's no reason to run Bob out there 55 games, 53, 55 games. I know he's done it in the past, but he's not getting any younger. He's had the 2 long playoff runs. exhausting playoff runs, right? And there's just never been any real reason to not go into this season with, having it be an even split. And even then, though, the only question would be like, Bob wants to get on a roll, Spencer wants to get on a roll. This happens, right? If you basically have two number one goalies, I mean, I'm not saying Spencer Knight's ready to go win a cup, but he's obviously competent enough to where I would suppose that at least half the teams in the NHL wouldn't mind giving him a shot as their starter. We'll put it that way. Hey, Bucks Rays. Montembeault made the face off. Really? Frank says Bob is done next year. We'll see, right? I know Bennett. 20 games. 20 games for Sam Bennett. 20 games without a goal. Chris says, how do I feel about 1-1 start splits between both? I don't think Bobrovsky would thrive doing that. He's been a full-time starter his whole career, right? And I think that's part of the issue with the split is that Bob does kind of, it appears to need that 2-3 games in a row. So, but maybe we could have gone 3-2, right? 3-2 instead of 3-1. And then one of the other games that he didn't play all that well, and I think it was his fourth start in a row. Steven says Bennett is good for your lineup. He's saving his goals for the postseason. Hey, look, I mean, let's hope, right? They can't all stay in a season-long slump, right? Barkov, Tkachuk, Verhaeghe, Bennett, they all can't. It has to bust open for some of them at some point, right? Now we know Barkov's never been like he's not going to be a 50-goal guy. We know that. In fact, I don't think he's ever. The highest is 39. He's never even gotten 40. But in terms of like Tkachuk, I mean, he hits the post and it rolls off the crossbar. It's like and Verhaeghe hits the post again, right? The guy, honestly, I know that it would create a situation. Well, let me backtrack. I was going to say I would like a Lundell, Samoskevich, Boqvist line. But what I think has been benefiting us is having Samoskevich on the line, Boqvist on the line, Rodriguez on the line. Because those guys are the only ones that really have the energy and the legs going because, Rodriguez wasn't here for both runs, and obviously Boqvist and Samoskevich weren't here for either. So I like the idea of splitting them up to give each line a little bit of energy. But we need somebody who could put the puck in the back of the net. And as much as I love Eetu Luostarinen, he's getting chance after chance after chance on that line with Bennett and Samoskevich. And we it's not happening. It's not happening. So maybe, and especially since a lot of those chances are close in, maybe move Tkachuk back down to that second line and go Bennett, Tkachuk, Samoskevich, right? Because I think Chucky can play on either side. Mike says, imagine if Zito can grab Anderson from Calgary at the deadline. Jeez. Metal says, if Knight gets more consistent, giving us 907 915 most nights, he'll live up to that contract. That's true. Mike, yeah, I know. He's looked better. He's looked better. But I'm talking about kind of evening things out a little bit. I mean, if Luostarinen was making good on his chances, then it would work. So, I mean, maybe try. I mean, hell with it. What about Barkov, Reinhart, Boqvist? Bennett, Kachuk, Samoskevich, Lundell, Luosterainen, Verhaeghe. What about that? Oh, I see, Frank. Who gets suspended? What did McDavid do? I didn't see what McDavid did. If Reinhart gets suspended for that, that's absurd. It shouldn't have even been a game misconduct. Yes, it was knee on knee, but Sam Reinhart ain't going around kneeing people on purpose. It was obvious that it was at the last second where the dude moved one way and Reinhart moved the other, and it wasn't. You never get me to think that was intentional. That's just not his game. But what did McDavid do? That I didn't see. Cross-check Garland in the face. Yeah. Jeez. Damn, Kyle created a monster, huh? Two-hand vicious cross-check to the face with 3 seconds left in the game. God almighty. Yeah, that's what the hell was that all about? I guess something had gone on during the rest of the game. Then a Canuck cross-check Bouchard in the face. Jeez. Yeah, that can't be good. That obviously you don't cross-check a guy on by accident in the face, right? Kenneth says, as the teams win their games in hands, Bruins drops from 9 seed to 11. Yeah, the Bruins are not in, right? Let's get back to the standings here. Come on. Come on, phone. Wake up. I mean, they're sitting there with 50 points. It's so tight. I mean, right now you got Jackets at 51. You got the Senators at 50. But they got 2 games in hand on Boston. And even Montreal can jump them. Hell, even the Red Wings could jump them. I mean, the Islanders, excuse me, the Islanders were a playoff team last year. They're only 7 points out. I mean, the whole damn conference is in competition for that 8th seed. It's crazy. Frank says Reinhart might just get fined. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't agree that he should, but I think that's what will happen. Yeah. Yeah, Vancouver is out as well. Avalanche 57. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, it's a big drop. So the Avalanche are in the 1 wild card spot at 57. And then the Flames are at 8 seed at 51. Canucks at 50. And really, it's not much else competition there. Well, the Blues could sniff that 8 seed. But what the hell is going on in Vancouver? Thank you, Mano. Yeah, hit the like button. I appreciate that. Who wins the division? I honestly, it looks so much like last year where Boston was in front almost that whole time, and then we took it at the very end. It all depends, honestly, on who's going to be in that 8th seed. And I think Toronto and Florida could be in a position to kind of maybe pick and choose a little bit. But then you look at the Lightning. The Lightning are 4 points behind the Panthers, 3 games in hand. I mean, when you look at where the Lightning are, if they win their games in hand, they're only 1 point behind the Maple Leafs. So Panthers could screw around and lose home ice in that first round. Not that it would matter a huge amount if we were playing Tampa. I mean, it's a bus ride, right? You could roller skate between Tampa and Sunrise. Mike says the amount of penalties against Florida lately has been insane. The Detroit game made me literally vomit. Detroit had no business being in that game. Got 3 to 4 power play goals for penalties they didn't deserve. It's been a little bit odd. I mean, Chucky got high sticked in the lip. He's bleeding and nothing. Just nothing, right? And by the way, what is the rule with that? Because I've seen it where Is it my imagination, or have I seen where they've gone back and looked at things when a guy is bleeding and called a penalty? Why do I feel like I remembered that? But yeah, I mean, the Atlantic, the whole conference, other than the Sabres. I mean, hell, even the Rangers, what they've won a couple of games, right? And don't look now, but the Rangers are 3 points out of the 8th seed. They're 3 points out of the 8th seed. You know, it's just all over the place, and it's going to make that trade deadline a lot more difficult to deal with. Okay, yeah, thank you, Mike. Says, remember they stopped the game in the playoffs because Tavares was high-sticked and bleeding, and the officials went back in time and called a penalty. I knew that wasn't in my imagination, so there must be some mechanism allowing for that. But Chucky, he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Chucky would have got roughing. He would have been like, you roughed the guy's stick with your face, right? You roughed this stick with your face. It's weird. I know that it can't possibly have anything to do with this. I am aware when I say what I'm about to say that it has to simply be coincidental. But since we played early on in the season and I made that video talking about, hey, look, we're the champs, so we get the calls. Since I made that video, we stopped getting the calls. I don't know. My bad. My bad. That's all I can say is my bad. Mike says the French Canadian refs hates Kachuk and has a vendetta against Paul Maurice and definitely thinks hockey shouldn't be in the South. I can't disagree there. I mean, Maurice has been a coach for almost 30 years now, right? I'm sure there's a lot of words have been exchanged with the referees over time, right? James says we are one of the league leaders in penalty minutes, and somehow after our fan bases think we get away with everything. I know. I mean, look, when I would watch, when I watch High Quality, I watch some of the other creators of other teams when we were playing them, last year especially. The comments that I see about how dirty we are and everything like that, I sometimes wonder if they're watching a different game. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly, Frank. Boquist got cross-checked in front of the net. They did nothing. Right. Maurice coached the Hartford Whalers. That tells you how long he's been around, right? Kenneth says Atlantic Division based on goal differential. Tampa Bay, Toronto, Florida, Ottawa, Montreal, Buffalo, Detroit, Boston. Yeah. Yeah, Tampa's not playing around. Tampa's not playing around this year. In fact, I wouldn't mind let Tampa win the division, and we'll take second place, and Toronto can slip to third place. And then let Ottawa beat the crap out of Tampa. Let Ottawa shock Tampa, and then we'll take care of Ottawa. I like that path. That sounds good to me. Wouldn't that be a playoff series? The brothers? Oh, my God. Can you imagine that? A second-round series, Panthers, Senators? And we'd have to go up against Olmark again? You don't think he'd want any revenge, do you? Not at all. Mike says Florida doesn't argue anymore. Paul Maurice just accepts it. Any other team in the league and the players, you see them complaining and whining about every call. Yeah, no, they just walk away. You're right there. Donna says the people who always deem us as dirty, you can tell they just see the social media clips and follow along with the narrative. That's true. That's true. The amount of embellishment in the league is sky high. It happens on almost every play. Knees buckling, guys grabbing their face, holding a stick in the armpit. It's despicable. Well, that was two of the calls, right, Mike? in the Detroit game. The stick in the armpit, and they just immediately closed it. And they called it twice, man. Just twice. Right? But then yesterday, Boquist is blowing into the zone, I think, with Lundell. And you literally see Boquist like jerk and stop and get pulled back because the dude is holding this stick. No call. No call. So I can't imagine how it's going to be come playoff time. Donna says every single knee penalty is usually unintentional. You can see Reinhardt bracing himself before hitting him. Also, if we play the Sens, watch out for Timmy's diving technique because he'll get it. Gotcha. I can't believe the Leafs scored 7 straight goals like that. That's crazy. But in terms of the rest of the schedule here, for this week, 3 10 o'clock games. Oh. So we got 10 o'clock Tuesday to Ducks, 10 o'clock Wednesday to Kings. Now that's an interesting decision to make because whatever goalie you play against, I might agree with what Frank was saying. Maybe you put Bob out there against the Ducks on Tuesday and you put Spencer out there against the Kings on Wednesday because the team is going to be tired on Wednesday night. Mike says, I'm in the minority here, but in my opinion, Reinhardt was not in the wrong. The player being hit, ducked, no pun intended. Yeah, I mean, the way that he moved, you can see it at the last second. He moved and kind of lowered himself. I guess, Mike, you mean on social media, people were blaming Reinhardt for that? Because I thought it was obviously unintentional. I was shocked when they upheld the game misconduct. James says you missed the shoulder on shoulder, but it was still a kneeing. That's true, but I think the point some of us are making is that when Reinhardt initiated the hit, it was clearly going for shoulder to shoulder, and then the dude adjusted himself to avoid the hit, and their knees collided. I guess that's kind of what we're saying. Right, yeah. He says, look at how Garland and McDavid were getting into it. It could have gotten nasty since no ref was paying attention. Mike says, kids are not being taught to take the check anymore. Instead, they make lateral moves and try to take a sidestep to the hit, which is dangerous as all hell. Right. Has anybody heard if he's okay? Because he was down for a while. Rosado says, I just left a comment on a Magda post. I said, Jaws needs his bragging rights. Let's make him proud. I didn't expect her to like the comment, but she did. That's funny. Buck says, Jaws want Tampa round 1. I mean, we're going to get what we're going to get. I certainly wouldn't I ain't going to be sitting here saying we want Tampa. Not in the first round. I would rather see Tampa get Ottawa. Let Ottawa and Tampa go at it for 7 games and beat the crap out of each other. And then we'll see you in the second round, right? Yeah, Frank, I hear what you. I don't think Reinhardt did that intentionally. I don't think he. If you watch the hit, when Reinhardt initiated the hit, he couldn't have known, right, that Lundstrom was going to make that lateral move. He'd had to be psychic. He would have had to, or have a time machine, to know that that was the exact location where he was going to try to adjust the hit. Like, Rosado, basically Reinhardt went in for a shoulder hit, and he braced for it, and then Lundstrom tried to move laterally to avoid the shoulder hit, and so as Lundstrom stuck out his leg, I mean, it was basically too late for Reinhardt to do anything, and their knees just collided. But the refs, I mean, is the rule that if it's a knee on knee, regardless of intent, that it's a game misconduct? Or could they have just given him 5 minutes? That's the one question I have. Right, Rosario. That's what I mean, though. Is it? No, I didn't. We didn't hear it on TV, Frank. We didn't hear it. Well, that's a good point, Kenneth. Says, I can't imagine Gudis fights Reinhardt next game. That's a good point. We played in the next game. We're going to have to watch out for that, aren't we? BJ say intent doesn't matter. So as soon as it's a knee on knee, it's a game misconduct. Mike says Gudis probably thought it was a nice hit. For the love of God, someone free John Gibson. I feel bad for him. He played outstanding except for the 2 little squeakers that he let in, right? Hey, thank you, John Hamburger Hut. Thank you, brother. Says the aliens came back last night. You got to get some video, man. Get some video of the aliens, right? Get some video of the aliens. Yeah, Gibson, he played well. I felt bad for the dude when he let that squeaker in. It's just like you could tell he was unhappy, right? Craig says Gudis isn't a fighter, but he may hit the hell out of someone like Boquist. Yeah, we're gonna have to watch it. Greer versus Gudis. Jeez. Gonna have to watch it. I didn't think about that. Playing them the next night. All the more reason why I don't think Reinhardt did it on purpose. Frank Gadjevich is hurt. He's always hurt now. That poor dude. He may be extending the limitations of what his body can do. Every time he goes out there, right? Every time he plays a game, he doesn't. When's the last time he played 2-3 games in a row without getting hurt? Yeah, has Reinhardt ever fought? I don't remember. I'm sure they've all fought at least once at some point, right? Didn't Lundell have a fight a few years ago or something? Rosado says Barkov is an absolute ghost out there. There's a lot of ghosts out there though, Rosado, right now. At least Barkov, all I care about with Barkov is he's not getting bullied defensively. He looked more like himself, skating normal and looked like his normal energy, right? I mean, basically the offense is being carried by Sam Reinhart and Jesper Boquist. Basically, I'm trying to think, and Forsling, occasionally. Yeah, Coasty Ghosty, right? He's totally in elbow room mode. We'll call it that. That's okay. Yeah, Lundell, everyone. You ever notice how I talked about this on the stream last night? Lundell, when we need him to step up, if Barkov is out or like Reinhardt is out, that's all of a sudden Lundell can score. You ever notice that? When somebody's out and we need him, all of a sudden he can score. And then when the lineup is full, he goes back and hides on the third line and never scores. Last time Reinhardt fought, he got his ass kicked by Dylan. That's right, the black guy. Yeah. Yeah, no, we don't want Reinhardt fighting Gudis. I don't think Gudis would fight anybody that was on the team with him. So you're talking about maybe Greer. That would be the most likely. That would be the most likely thing, right? But yeah, we got to be careful tomorrow, especially if Chucky is still feeling any ill effects from the. Remember, he had that knee on knee, about a month ago or so. But it'll be interesting to see how we handle this whole trip in terms of the goalie situation, because Bob's been, we've been through this before, right? Gudis versus Bennett. Jesus. No, man. I don't think he would fight any of those guys. It would have to be Greer. Unless Lundstrom's going to come back and want to fight Reinhardt, which I still don't think. I don't think Reinhardt. I don't want to stand Reinhardt fighting anybody. All we need him to do is hurt his hand or something like that. Just turtle, right? Just turtle. Gudis versus Bennett, though. If they didn't have such friendly history, you could imagine that being that would be pretty intense, John says move Mackey to the first line. I don't think Maurice is going to do it, but if you're going to keep Samoskevich with Bennett, let's get somebody else on that left side that can put the puck in the back of the net. Every time Samoskevich is on the ice, just about, he's creating some kind of havoc with his speed. And he has not become any less noticeable being moved up to the second line than he was in the fourth line. So you got to get him somebody that can put the puck in the back of the net and take advantage of that. And I love Luosterainen, but that's not it. And Craig, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, Mackey with Bennett and Jesper. Yeah. The only thing with that, though, is I kind of do like having Mackey on one line and Boquist on the other, because they both bring so much energy to the line. Right? Now, if you were just going to, bark off Reinhardt, Tkachuk, Bennett, Samoskevich, Boquist, Lundell, Luosterainen, and Verhaeghe, I'll throw that into the blender, right? And then what do you got? Who's that? Puts Rodriguez in the fourth line, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, Reinhardt's not afraid. No, I just don't want him I don't want him fighting. Remember when Ekblad hurt his hand? Who was it that hurt his hand a few years ago? Fighting. Kenneth says McDavid and Myers getting hearings for cross-checking ejections. I wonder, can you imagine if he suspended McDavid? Craig says Erod makes every line he's on better. It's true. That's what I'm saying is about between Samoskevich, Boquist, and Erod. I like them being split up because they bring energy to the lines. But if Verhaeghe could get out of his slump, then the Lundell, Luosterainen, and Verhaeghe line could work. Yeah, Chopper. Mike, I'm just remembering. Oh, no. In terms of Ekblad, I think he came back. It was the game I missed, but I think he came back, and then somebody here said it was a lower body injury on Ekblad that he was working on. I think he came back from the hand, and then there was the one game that Kyle and I missed that was a late game, and then I think somebody said it was a lower body injury. I haven't heard anything on the broadcast or anything like that, but supposedly it's possible he could play Tuesday. But I don't know, man. I mean, the defense has been playing well. What do you guys think? When Ekblad comes back, we know he's going to come back and go next to Forsling. But what do you think about Ekblad, Forsling, Mikula Kulikov, Belinskis, Bornfoot, or maybe Mikula, Belinskis, and then Bornfoot, Kulikov to split up the speed a little bit, and having Schmidt be the odd man out. Schmidt and Adam Boquist be 7 and 8 deep. I don't really feel. I'm not 100% confident that if we waive Bornfoot that somebody won't. He's looked pretty decent. You know what I mean? Yeah, Forsling with Bornfoot. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm getting at. At some point down the road, I'm not so sure that I want to waive Bornfoot at this point, because playoffs are coming, late in the season is coming, teams need reinforcement. And Craig says Schmidt 7D. I'm fine with Schmidt at 7D. James says that's his role anyway, based on what we're paying him. Chopper, Bornfoot needs to stay with the team 100%. Wave Schmidt. Hey, MJ. How you doing, buddy? Thank you, MJ. Thank you. MJ said, let me blow this up. I can't read it today. My eyes are bad today. Happy Sunday, Jaws. Hope your weekend is good. It's 8 degrees here, but it feels like -4. Too cold. Superb performance by Spencer and the Cats last night. A shutout. Headlines in a moment. Thank you, MJ. Much appreciated, brother. Yeah, we're at 35. It had already started snowing earlier. Thank you, MJ. Come on, I don't. James says, yeah, Bornfoot isn't waivers exempt. I could see him getting claimed. Yeah, that would. I don't think it would be smart to let him go. I know we got roster issues and cap issues and all of that, but I kind of think he's played well enough that somebody else might take a look at him, right? Because let's face it. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to turn into Forsling, but he's first round pick. He's same size. He's obviously got some talent, right? And the Panthers have a habit of coaching guys up and getting the best out of them. And I just, he snuck under the radar last year. I get it. And I get that not every team is desperate to develop a guy, but considering the position that we're in, I don't feel so good about. I would be a little bit queasy if he got waived. I am going to be a little bit concerned for those 24 hours, because he doesn't suck. You know what I mean? He doesn't exactly suck. Kenneth says Ekblad third in a snow shovel for Owen Power. Just need to find a snow shovel. Chopper says, Kid Bornfoot a 2-year, 1.1 contract in the offseason so we can hold on to him. Yeah, we've got some guys that need deals too, right? We talked about that with Sam Miskevich. Bolquist needs a deal. You could see some changes. I mean, every game that Sam Bennett goes and he's not scoring, you know what I mean? Frank says, if Bornfoot isn't waiver exempt, how come he got called up and sent down multiple times? I think he cleared in the past. I'm not honestly 100% sure there. I mean, last year we claimed him off of waivers. Yeah, nobody claimed him. I think the reason, he hadn't gotten any chance to show what he could do at the NHL level. So now that he has, now he's got a few games of tape out there. Are we 100% sure that no other team wants to kick those tires? It could happen. He could clear, but I don't think anybody would be shocked if somebody picked him up too. So is TikTok actually gone? Or is it that you just can't download it to your phone? Or is it like it's gone? Like if you go to TikTok, it's just gone. I don't do TikTok, but I know a lot of people were panicking about that. I know when I was advertising my other businesses, everybody's telling me go to TikTok and do it. So I know a lot of people were depending on TikTok advertising for their business. So you just can't get on, it's just gone. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, buddy. It says sports headlines. The Commanders and the team I refuse to name won. Tanner Scott and Roki Sasaki signed with the Dodgers. Some two very different names. Eddie George interviewing for the Bears coaching job. There's a name from the past. McDavid and Myers might be suspended, and the Pirates owner says team is not for sale. Thank you, MJ. Eddie George. Who remembers watching Eddie George? He's a guy that gets lost in the conversation of good running backs from the past. But yeah, the team I refuse to name, MJ. I'm not even, does not even. I think the way that what's going to happen next week, the Panthers play the Knights right smack dab in the middle of the AFC Championship game. So I do believe what Kyle and I are going to do, we're going to figure out the technical aspects of this. On StreamYard, I can stream to multiple channels at the same time. So we are going to stream to the hockey channel and the football channel at the same time, and we are going to call the Panthers Vegas game and the AFC Championship game at the same time. We've done it before, the first year that we were streaming. We didn't do it last year, but this year we had no choice. I can't skip a Panthers Vegas game. That I can't do. So MJ says, you met Eddie in Nashville. Oh, yeah, that'd be a cool picture. He's a nice guy. Very cool. He was the head coach at Tennessee State for the last few years. Awesome. Yeah, he's a good guy. He just gives up a good vibe. You know what I mean? Frank says the Dolphins should be for sale, rename the Dumpsters. No doubt, man. They're not gonna until Ross sells the team, the Dolphins. I'm not gonna sit here and say they're dead to me because that's obviously an exaggeration. But my expectations for them to ever improve are dead as long as Ross is the owner, because he just has. If there's ever been a sports owner who has consistently illustrated over and over again that they don't get it, it's Stephen Ross. Kenny says, Washington now 7 points clear of the Leafs with a game in hand, and both Toronto and Florida Leafs Panthers may need to play the 7 seed and not the 8. Well, it depends on if both wild cards are in the same division. Then if Washington wins the conference, they're either going to play the wild card team that's in the Metro, or if both wild cards come out of the Atlantic, then they would play the 8 seed. So then the winner of the division might play the 7 seed, except for the fact that you're saying Toronto, Florida, but don't leave out Tampa out of that, because if Tampa wins their games in hand, they're only 1 point behind Toronto for first place. So don't tell Tampa that they're not in the discussion to win the division. But yeah, it could get funky. It could get real funky. You could see a situation. There's all sorts of viable situations where Panthers could end up playing Ottawa in the first round. Holy hell. You don't think Brady wants to be the dude? You don't think Brady Kachuk wants to be the dude to stop his brother's run? And there's another one. Chopper says, Jaws, imagine if Tampa somehow has to play the Jackets in the playoffs. Hey, Julian. I'm not sure on that, James. I think if you get 4 from each division, so let me say this. So right now you got Leafs, Panthers, Lightning, Senators, Capitals, Devils, Hurricanes, Jackets. But the Senators would be the 8th seed. But the Capitals would play the Jackets because they're the wild card. You see, the top seed plays wild card 2 regardless of division. Why did I remember it being differently? Why did I mean, I'll believe you guys. That's fine. But why do I believe that being? Why do I remember it being differently? I've heard it go back and forth so many times. So then that could mean I see what you're saying about somebody could end up playing the Jackets. Yeah, I know exactly, Frank. Exactly. Hey, MJ, thank you, buddy. Thank you, MJ. He says, world headlines. Hamas is finally releasing Israeli hostages. TikTok was going to be banned, but Trump says he will bring it back. Rep actress Joan Plowright, Biden spending his last days in office in South Carolina. Now, that is interesting. I did not have Trump saving TikTok on my bingo card list. That's, and it's funny because you probably got to figure everybody on TikTok hates Trump. And so wouldn't that be some hysterical? I got to see that happen. You got to figure the general political atmosphere on TikTok probably hates Trump. I don't know. I've never been there. But wouldn't that be something if Trump is responsible for saving it? And I wonder how that will work out. He's going to sign an executive order to bring it back. Okay. Wow. That's not. And I'll tell you, most of you probably aren't old enough to remember this. You certainly wouldn't have been old enough when it happened. But when you're saying Hamas is finally releasing the hostages, it's not a coincidence right before Trump becomes president. But the point I'm making there is that I'm old enough to remember Iran releasing the hostages right before Ronald Reagan, or right basically as Reagan became president. That I remember. I'm old enough to remember seeing that in the news and watching it and everything like that. It's very, very right. Yeah, exactly, MJ. Exactly. It's eerily similar. You know what I mean? It was like as soon as Reagan was basically going to be inaugurated, or basically Iran was basically like, no, we're good. They could go. No, what hostages? I remember every night on the news, it would be like day whatever it was of the hostage situations. And then Reagan came in, and all of a sudden they just like, no, we're cool. That's cool, right? Yeah, Chopper. When the British SAS own his, yeah, it was a crazy. There's been a lot of crazy shit that's gone on. There's a lot of crazy shit that goes on. Yeah, we were still in the Cold War in '80. Yeah, right. So I says TikTok started pushing pro-Trump influencers to say the company is smart. It's crazy, man. What was it like watching the news back in the '80s? You certainly got the feeling that you were being told the truth a lot more than you do now. Like there was a slight narrative that was pushed at times, but the feeling you had then was that basically the story they were telling was it was what happened. You know what I mean? Where the news now today, instead of telling you what happened, all they want to talk about is why it happened and whose fault it is. The news back in the 80s was more just kind of like, this is what happened and this is what we're going to do about it. Where now it's kind of like, this might be kind of what happened, but here's who to blame for it. Hi, Simon. Is it? No, it's next. Yeah, he's being introduced to be the president. You're talking about my opinion on the inauguration. I hope it goes smoothly. That's all I can say. I've owned businesses during 2 recessions, during 9/11. Everything that happened in 2020. And you know what? I'm tired of feeling like I'm getting to a financially secure spot or being in a financially secure spot and then having bullshit from the rest of the world, like when I was making good money on eBay when 9/11 happened. We were making good for then, talking about 2000. We were making $1,500 to $2,000 a week on eBay when 9/11 happened, and immediately in half, like the next day, immediately income cut in half instantly, and it never really went back up to where it had been for another 10, 12 years. It was hard. Well, inauguration was moved indoors. That's probably better for security too, right? It's probably better for security, Thank you, MJ. Thank you, buddy. He says, question of the day, besides Panthers and Dolphins, which sports team would I want to buy? Let me think about this, because I probably got a good smart ass answer for this one. Which sports team would I want to buy besides the Panthers and Dolphins? Well, I don't want to buy the Panthers. They're in good hands. Screw it. The Marlins. I would want to buy the Marlins. Yeah. Exactly. I would want to buy the Marlins and fix it. Fix the whole thing. But my and this has nothing to do with it. But in the deal to buy the Marlins, they have to include that I'm also buying the rights to name the stadium that the Dolphins play in, so it will go back to being Joe Robbie Stadium. It was a hypothetical, Rosado. Huh? Rosado, why don't you give me $5 so I can buy the Marlins? That's all they're worth anyway. Smart ass. Frank says the Olympics women's swimming team. I knew Frank would have something there. Yeah, I would. What was that? Buy the Sabres and relocate them to Atlanta. I like it. Rosado says the Dodgers. Yeah, I would buy the Marlins, and I would promise to fix the team and keep it fixed, but they had to go back to calling the Dolphin Stadium Joe Robbie Stadium. Rosado. Relocate the Bruins to Hartford. I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about buying another team to just screw with them. Right? I would buy the Lightning. I would buy the Lightning, and for some reason, I don't know why, maybe because I'm feeling charitable, for some reason, I would just start trading all my best players to the Panthers and eating the salary. And all they got to give me in return is like 5th round picks. I could do that. I would probably, yeah, that's not a bad idea too. I says relocate Jaws and Kyle to Florida. You have to, if you can get a big enough, you have to be able to transport the dogs with me. So you have to have a big enough excavator that they can take the entire grave site out without disturbing the bones of my dogs. And they have to be able to transport that entire piece of land as one piece and plop it onto the new land in Florida. Yeah, exactly, Axu. Victor Hedman for Nate Schmidt. He gets it. There you go. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Exactly. No sick for Gensel. No sick for Gensel. I'm in. I like this, MJ. This is a good idea. Yeah. Oh, Chopper's got Kucherov for no sick. All right, but then who are we going to get for Gensel? Gensel for a 5th, right? No, screw it. Ekblad for Gensel. We'll be charitable on that one. Simon says, what NHL team would you buy except for the Panthers if you can find the whole NHL? What would I buy? All joking aside, Utah. I would buy Utah. And then I move them back. I move them back to Arizona. Yeah, I feel bad for those fans. Huh? I'm not going to lie. When I saw all the NHL celebrating, this is Utah's first year and they got a franchise and all of that. It's like you just stole it from Arizona and moved it. It was a robbery. It was thievery. Hey, thank you, Frank. Thank you, buddy. Thoughts on what we could do as a Winter Classic jersey. Looking forward to that. Could we put snow? Where's the palm tree? Could we put some snow and icicles coming off the palm tree? Make it white instead of the color of the sun, right? Right? Screw the Utah no names. and then the palm tree's got like snow and icicles. Make it a winter scene, right? And because then it'll match the hockey stick. We could do that. That would work. And then you have the Panther like laying in some snow, right? Yeah, MJ says put Fluffy's YouTube logo on there plus a palm tree in the ocean. Yeah. Or maybe have the ocean be frozen over. Right? Have the ocean be frozen over, icicles and everything. That could work. Rosales says make it Miami Vice. Chopper says the WHA has a team named the Chicago Cougars. That's a good name. Were there ever Cougars in Chicago? Were there ever Jaguars in Jacksonville? I know there were Florida Panthers. But were there ever Jaguars in Jacksonville? Were there Cougars in Chicago? Right? What else? Do the teams that have animals as names, do they all have had those animals as the names? Right? It's Coyotes in Chicago. We had a coyote out here one year. One of the first couple of years I moved into this house. It was one coyote, and he used to walk across the street, and he'd walk along the whole long driveway. I don't know what he was doing. He never bothered us. And then one day he just never came back anymore. I think somebody probably shot him. Poor guy. Frank says Miami Vice jersey, something like the All-Star jersey, and turn that baseball stadium to a nightclub. Yeah. Oh, the Minnesota North Stars. Yeah. That's a name from the past. That's a definite name from the past. Yeah, MJ, I like to think that maybe he just wandered off, but, people around here, it's the country. You know what I mean? They have their guns, right? Yeah, IDK. What kind of Cougars are we talking about? Exactly, right? You could always just rename the Florida Panthers to the Broward County Cougars, and I think everybody would kind of understand that reference, right? Hey, how you doing, Ghost Slayer? You buy up the Leafs or the Sharks. The only Cougars in Chicago died in the 2000s before the city went crazy. Exactly. Are there Tigers in Detroit? It's a good point, Metal. Right? Find them at the jazz bars. Hey, thank you, MJ. Oh, boy. MJ says, people are talking about Miami Vice, so I want to ask, what's the best TV show and movie about Miami? Which one accurately depicts the city? So TikTok is back up. That's crazy. Are you kidding? Did Trump already get it back up? That's insane. So MJ, about the Miami Vice. So I am not going to launch into a story time with Jaws. That said, I grew up in Miami during Miami Vice heyday. And I had all the clothes. I was working at a pizza restaurant. I was making good money for myself. I mean, I was still in school, but for a kid, I was making good money. And I spent all of the money on buying clothes that I would wear. I had all of the Miami Vice clothes because I lived in Miami. So the stores, they had all those clothes, the jackets and the whole thing. And that's what I spent my money on when I was like 14, 15 years old. That's crazy. TikTok is back. It's because they heard us talking about it on the stream. It's what it is. Simon says, what do I think about my son? What team do you think your son would want to get out of the NHL? Kyle, in his opinion, what team would he want to get? If I know Kyle, he would say he'd want to buy the Leafs and change their name to the Toronto Schmiegel Gollum. He would want to buy Toronto and turn their name into the Toronto Gollum. Yeah. A white Testarossa. Oh my God. I had all the clothes. I think my mom might have one picture of me in all of the clothes. You'd say Scarface for the movie and CSI Miami or Miami Vice for the TV show. Yeah. The Birdcage was actually a pretty accurate depiction of South Beach. Let's not leave that one out. If anybody hasn't seen The Birdcage, Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, it's absolutely to die for. It's hysterical. And is that the one where Antonio Banderas? Yeah, Antonio Banderas, right? Plays a gay housekeeper, I believe. That's an hysterical movie. Cordial says the Winter Classic jersey better look great compared to that Pride jersey they dropped. Yeah, the Birdcage was a funny movie. It was hysterical. I didn't even know it was Pride night. I come out and I stuck my foot in my mouth and I sit down and I said, hey, what is this, some kind of special 70s night? Why are they playing like 70s disco? And Kyle says it's actually Pride night. I shut up real quick. I didn't need to get myself in any trouble. It's like I didn't mean nothing by it, but they were playing disco. I didn't know why. Yeah, the Winter Classic jersey needs the Leaping Panther. I agree there too. Yeah, they made the Birdcage into a musical, right? Or was it a musical first? MJ, was Hank Hazara. I thought that was it must have been a different movie, MJ. It must have been a different movie that I'm thinking about. that Antonio played that. God, I thought. Anyway, it's a great movie. It's a hysterical movie, man. Robin Williams was fantastic in that movie. Nathan Lane too. Yeah, good movie. But that's a very accurate depiction of South Beach at a certain point in time, for sure. That was my stomping ground, South Beach, Coconut Grove. Cordial says Sleeping Panther with shimmering silver snowflakes all around it. Yeah, hopefully they do that, right? Does anybody know how much those tickets are going to be yet? Does anybody know how much those tickets? They got to be like $2-3 right? And then who knows what they're going to be on the aftermarket? How's the snow going? I got to go to the grocery store, I think, and I got to see how the snow's going. If it stops or started back up, there's nothing happening. That's good. Earlier in the week, they had said we might get 6 to 8 inches of snow today, but I don't think it's going to be maybe 2. Hasn't even started yet, really. MJ, yeah, South Beach, Coconut Grove. Yep. There used to be, is that Marino's place still down there in Coconut Grove? There used to be like a Dan Marino sports bar, whatever they called it. And we'd go there and we'd play pool until we went to the Baja Beach Club, which was right down the road. Would I prefer the Winter Classic jersey to be red or navy blue? I'd prefer it to be navy blue because the darker jerseys, I have trouble with being colorblind and picking up the numbers and the intricacies of the jerseys. I would prefer the navy blue. LeBron had a house, Coconut Grove, Shula's Steakhouse. Yeah, that was. It was upstairs. It was a nice place. It was a nice place. I just don't remember if I can't imagine. I mean, you're talking 30 years ago, right? 30, 35 years ago. So, no, the winter, Shula's, yeah. Shula's. I've been to Shula's. Do I remember the falls? Oh, I never went. I drove past them many times. Because my grandfather lived out in Coral Gables, and I have a memory a couple of times of passing them, but I never went. Chopper says, yeah, I'm colorblind. Yeah, that's part of the reason why it's hard for me to, that's why Kyle calls the games. Because, yeah, Dayland Rosado, yeah. When I'm watching the game on TV, at the game, I could call a game if I'm at the game. But on the TV, a lot of times when you're colorblind, colors will kind of blend together a little bit more than they should. So especially when we're wearing our red jerseys, by the time I pick up the name or the number on the back of the jersey, the puck is gone. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, brother. He says, one more. Which NHL jersey would I redo? That's a tough call. That's a tough one. I mean, they all have different jerseys, right? They all have different ones. I'm thinking about this. Rosado says Mighty Dogs. MJ says Utah. The Canadians jerseys, I think, could use a little bit of love. Right? And I might change Nashville's because that color blinds me. Like, it's distracting to me watching them play sometimes. Chopper says, redo the King's Burger King jersey and make it something actually not ugly. Yeah, the jackets. Yeah, and that's the other thing with Utah is we lost We lost Arizona's logo, which, some of their logos are just too damn sweet. Yeah, the yellow is a bit much. MJ says the Kings is terrible. Yeah, I think Montreal, I mean, it's the Canadians, so I guess it is what it is, right? Yeah, the Kings is not. They do for a modernization. Chopper said they need to bring back the purple. You love the black and purple, yeah. The Rangers are in good shape. Islanders are in good shape. I mean, look at the Hurricanes, right? You like the Canadians, MJ? Leave the Penguins alone for sure. Leave the Penguins alone. I think I agree with the Jackets, though. That's definitely something that could get changed. Blues are good. Stars are good. The Knights can't complain there. The Kings need work. The Kraken, the only thing I would change is that mascot that they came out with. And I know Nick likes the shark stuff, right? Spaceman says the new Miami Marlins jerseys are worse than the 2012 jerseys. Yeesh. Rosado says he would rebrand the Marlins' current logo and colors to the old Florida Marlins. Yeah. Yeah, the original stuff from the Marlins is sweet. It was on point for sure. Chris says Tampa needs a new jersey. I wonder how the Tampa fans feel about that. Corbin says I love a dinosaur-themed hockey team. Rexes, Raptors, Generics, Dinos. Yeah. Well, didn't they had wasn't Raptors one of the choices when they did that poll to name Utah? Wasn't Raptors one of the choices? Turn this off. Yeah, let me turn that off. I got some pork chops I'm getting ready to cook. I'm hungry. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it. The hunger pains have taken over and the brain cells are eliminated. They're gone. I need to eat. Denver Dinos. I like that. Yeah, I got some pork chops coming. Sriracha mustard pork chops. I got to go make my sauce. All right. Thank you all very much for the super chats. Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. Thanks to you, I was able to pay my $568 electric bill last week. I was gone for 10 days, and the bill was still $570. I can't get over that, which scares the hell out of me of whatever the next one's going to be. I'm petrified for whatever the next one's going to be. I got to look at the timing, though. I wonder if it didn't include, I think they read it at the 16th. So that might have been the full month, and maybe this one coming up might be the less one. We'll see. All right, everybody. Appreciate all the support. And Kyle and I will be live tonight for Ravens Bills. We will be live tonight. Ravens Bills. I can't even bring myself to say go Bills. Go anybody but the team that I shall not name.